Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Now we're down to 3 days till our first day of our new homeschool year. And the other day I shared with you exactly what I'm planning on doing on just that first day. But today I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm hoping that our routine is going to look like this year and the curriculum and other resources that we will be using. Before I get started, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but if you hear a little rumbling sound, my daughter brought her gerbils downstairs because she thought that her bedroom was too hot. So they're sitting here next to me in the living room, and one of them is on the wheel right now. So that's what that sound is, if you're wondering. So anyway, so this year I'm down to homeschooling 7 kids. And if you're new to this channel, you might be expecting me to go like grade by grade or child by child, saying exactly what I'm going to be doing with them for every subject. That is not how we homeschool though. We are relaxed homeschoolers, and while my kids do their language arts and math separately, everything else we do kind of as a family style schooling. We do everything else together. So that actually makes it a lot easier for me when it comes to purchasing curriculum and even for doing videos like this, because if I were doing everything separate for 7 kids, that would get pretty hectic. And you know, at one point I was homeschooling 10 kids, and I just said this in my last video, and it seems like it went from 10 to 9 to 8, now I'm at 7, and it's just going so quickly now, and I'm not looking forward to the day that I have no kids left to homeschool. I already told my kids that once I have grandkids that I will homeschool their kids for them if they want me to. So anyway, every day when we start out homeschooling, actually before our routine starts, usually around 9:30 in the morning, my kids will start their morning basket work. Now, a lot of times they'll even start their morning basket work the night before so that they don't have to worry about doing it in the morning. Or sometimes they might wake up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and just start doing it on their own. But by 9:30 every morning, all of the kids will have started their morning basket. The morning basket is something that it's actually a bunch of things that they can do independently and that they will not need my help for. And these are just things that will help them to keep their skill level up in different subject areas. And it's something for them to do while I'm straightening up before we get our actual homeschool routine started. So in their morning basket, what they will have is spelling, or for my, actually let me tell you the ages of my kids and grades. So I have this year 2nd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and 11th grade. So, you know what? Even before I start anything else, I separate all of my kids into 2 groups. So I have my 2nd through 8th grade in one group, and then I have my 2 high schoolers in their own group. And I've been doing it like this for years, except before I had 3 groups, and now I'm getting down to a small enough amount of kids that I only need 2 right now, or 2 ever again at this point. And so we'll start out with what I do with my middles. That's from the 2nd grade to the 8th grade. Anyway, so in their morning basket, they will do spelling. And with spelling, it's just very simple with us. I've been using Natural Speller for years. There are activities in here that you can do with your kids. We do not do the activities though. I just use the spelling list because I really like the spelling lists. And all that I do is I just write down every Monday, I give them 10 new words. I write it in a little composition book, each of the 10 words, and then they just write them 3 times each, 4 days out of the week. We do kind of a 4-day routine, and then the 5th day is different, and I'll explain that then. So 4 days a week, they just write their spelling words 3 times each. We've been doing that for a few years now, and I have found that this, at least for my kids, has been the most effective way to help them with their spelling, because before they weren't so great at spelling. And we tried a few different methods. We tried a different spelling curriculum, but it was really the consistency of the 3 times each day that I found has worked best with my kids. So another thing in their morning basket is their silent reading. So they each have a silent reading book that they choose. This isn't even particularly one that they're going to be reading this year, because I think that we're going to be doing the Tuttle Twins ones as read alouds. I was going to have them do these for silent reading, but this is something that I really want to have like group discussions about. But anyway, I just put this here just so that I would remember to tell you that they have their silent reading books in their morning baskets. They also have, so my second grader has a print handwriting workbook to work in. And this is for my 4th through 8th graders. They do cursive writing. They also do math drills. And after they are done with that math drill book, because some of my kids are almost finished with this math drill book. So I got them the Fun Schooling Math Minecrafters, so they're going to be working in this afterwards. And if you just want to take a quick peek in these, everybody's always curious about these. I'll just show you some different things in them. It's all different kinds of activities. I noticed that the very first activity in the book is actually a dot to dot, but it's counting by 8s. So, neat little activities though for math, you know, ways for them to do math, but to actually stay interested in it. And the last thing that we have in their morning basket is geography. All that I'm doing right now is my kids have been learning, they started towards the end of the year, learning where all of the, like the names of all the 50 states, and then they started learning where they are, the capital, the abbreviation. So all that I did was I just printed out a map and I just gave them a state to find on the map every day. They had to mark it. And as you can see, they already started this. They're just going to continue it until it's finished. So they have to mark it on their map after they find it. And then on the back, they just write the name of the state, the abbreviation, and the capital. And I'm thinking that after we do the United States, I'm thinking that we might move on to Europe. I haven't decided yet for sure, but that's what they do, is just for geography. That's all of their morning basket stuff. And again, this is for my 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th and 8th graders. It's like getting to the point where, since we don't do things like grade level wise, I don't really focus too much on that. Sometimes I really have to think, but yeah, so 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th and 8th is who does that morning basket. And you know what, my older kids, their morning basket routine is very, very similar to that. But at this point in time, we're just doing this. So anyway, so after they're done with their morning basket, usually around 10 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it's a little bit later if they're taking a little bit longer to do their morning basket routine. I usually try to get started by like 10:15 at the latest. So what we will usually do is we will start out doing Bible together, and what we've been doing is just 1 minute Bible. There's a little devotion in here, and we read some passages and then we pray together. After the 1 minute Bible, we will then go on to read aloud. And read aloud can be anything at all. Like it can be Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. Sometimes it could be a picture book. Like I think I'm going to be, as I mentioned before, going through the Tuttle Twins books with my kids. It could be like the Little House on the Prairie books. It's just a time that we sit down, I read to my kids, and then a lot of times after I am done reading, I will ask them to give oral narrations. Like they will take turns, maybe after every few pages, or maybe at the end of the chapter, I might ask them all to tell me one thing that they remember. But read aloud is very important to us, and it's something that we always do. Okay, so after read aloud, we usually will go on to German. What I'm expecting to do this year is I've been looking for a German video series to watch on YouTube for them to learn German, and someone recommended, I think it's Learn German with Anya. I'll leave a link in the description box. And actually I do remember that I had used a couple of her videos last year. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start watching a German video on Mondays, and then the rest of the week they're going to be working in this, which they did start this last year. And we're just going to be continuing on with this. And so these are really nice, and my neighbors are outside yelling, I'm sorry. Anyway, so these are really nice, and it just gives them something interesting to do, and it helps them with their German vocabulary. It helps them with some of the greetings, some of the sentences. So then after German, what we will do is we will go on to our unit study. So we're starting out the school year with an ants unit study because it is in the responsibility section. After the ants unit study, I'm expecting it to last about 3 weeks. We're going to move on to early settlers. But now you're going to laugh. I use Kona's character curriculum for this. I have used this volume 2 for years now, and it is beat up, and we're at the point now where it no longer has the cover. I have no idea what happened to it. It's falling apart. I have some pages actually in a cabinet under my TV that I don't want to lose, so I kind of put them in a pile in there. this is what my CONUS looks like because this is how hard I have used it. So yeah, I totally expect that I'm going to be buying a new one of these in the future, but it is so worth it. This is what we use for our unit study. We do 2 unit study activities together. Now, unit studies cover all subject areas. Some of the activities will cover language arts, there's literature, they cover math sometimes, science sometimes, history, geography, art. Sometimes it covers music even. Like in our ants unit study, one of our activities we're going to be doing is the kids are going to be learning the song, The Ants Go Marching One by One. And sometimes it covers physical education. I don't remember if I said that. And even though I have my kids from 2nd through 8th grade learning these unit studies together, the nice thing about the unit studies is that you can tweak them so that it can be easier for some kids and a little bit harder for the older kids. So for example, at one point my kids are going to learn how to make a baking soda paste for if they are stung by an ant or bitten by an ant. I don't remember. I'll find out in the unit study. But they're going to make a baking soda paste. So that's what they're going to do. But then I'm going to have my my older kids, my 7th and 8th graders, I'm going to have them then move on and they're going to learn the difference between acids and bases. So as you can see, you can take one activity and you can keep it very basic for your younger kids, but then you can expand on it for your older kids. And that's what I really like about unit studies, because you don't have to be doing a separate textbook for every single subject. Because if you ask our family, we don't like textbooks. We think they're dry, we think they're boring, and we really try to stay as far away from them as possible. Unit studies provide hands-on activities. There are lots of great book lists in here, lots of great art, suggestions for art activities. So unit studies for our family are the way to go. All right, so after we do our 2 unit study activities, my kids will then move on to their language arts and math. So for math, my 7-year-old, so she's in 2nd now, she's going to continue using Abeka. And as you can see, this is in a binder. And I've got to say that I was really disappointed. I always order my Abeka arithmetic on Amazon, and I've never had an issue. This year I ordered it, and this is what they sent me. Just printables. No book cover, not attached to anything, just a pack of this. And I paid the same amount that I did for like a regular book. Yeah, so I was a little bit upset that this is what they sent me. And I actually, on the review, I said that I love Abeka, but I wish that they would have elaborated on the fact that it was not an actual book. You're just going to be getting the pages. And I think that since then, they actually did edit it. And I think now it does say that it's only the pages that you get. But yeah, it would have been nice for me to know that ahead of time. So anyway, so my 2nd grader is using that. All of my other kids are using CTC Math. And that's all the rest of my kids, even up through high school. Everyone else is using ctcmath.com, and that's an online math, so it's not really something that I can show you right now. For language arts, my kids from 2nd through 8th grade are all using this Harcourt Family Learning Language Arts. It's something that I used right when we first started homeschooling all those years ago. And it's just, my kids, they were doing dailygrams, but one of my daughters asked if she could get a book that had a little bit more practice in it than what dailygrams did. And I remembered that I did this with my older kids when we first started homeschooling, and we liked it, so I got these. And we started them last year, and so far so good. That's what we're doing for language arts. And now I do also have to say that since our unit study activities are cross-curricular, if we do unit study activities, for example, that cover language arts, so say like on Monday, on our first day of school, my kids are going to be doing copy work that day. To me, that is language arts, because when they are doing copy work, they are, they're of course practicing their penmanship, they're practicing spelling, they're seeing punctuation, proper sentence structure. So for me, if they are doing a language arts activity for the unit study, they do not do their language arts workbook for that day. They only do that if they don't cover language arts in the unit study. And also I have to say that sometimes with math, now it doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes in the unit studies we will actually do math activities too that are related to the whatever we're doing. And so on those days they won't do math, like for CTC Math, or my daughter might not do Abeka, just because if they've already covered math for the day, then they don't need to do it again. And actually, if you think about it, my kids are doing math twice anyway, because they do it in the morning basket, they do their drills, and then they do their math workbooks or CTC math. And one thing that I want to add before I move on that I really like about the morning baskets is that even if something happens and you can't get a full day of school done, if your kids just get those morning basket activities in, you can get whatever subject areas you have in that morning basket, you can at least have those covered. So for example, next week already, we are going to have to take the day off for, I have 2 kids who have dentist appointments. I think it's on Thursday. And I didn't want to take like the whole day off and not do anything at all. And I realized that even if I have my kids just do their morning basket on Thursday, they're still going to have covered spelling, reading, handwriting, math, German, geography. Did I get everything? I don't even know. But yeah, so I at least will feel like, you know, they at least have some foundational learning done on that day. And that's what's nice about morning baskets. They're a good thing to fall back on if you're in a bind, but you still want to get something done. So it's a good idea to have one. All right, so I mentioned before that we do this routine 4 days a week. On the 5th day of the week, my kids will be working in a fun schooling journal. So most of my kids will be doing all about pets, Minecraft fun schooling journal, and they're going to do 2 pages out of this. And my 2nd grader will be doing a fun schooling spelling journal. So she doesn't have the Minecraft one. She's going to be doing 2 pages out of her spelling journal. And again, this is what they do on their 5th day. Now the reason that they have like so little to do on their 5th day is because that is my grocery shopping day. And it's like a several hour long affair. Plus we only have 1 car, so I have to get it done before my husband leaves for work. So we don't have like a whole lot of time to get stuff done. So getting 2 pages of fun schooling done, I think is going to be easy enough for them to get, you know, something accomplished, but they're still getting schoolwork done. All right. So now I'm going to move on to my high schoolers. And if you are one of those parents who like really does kind of like a college prep sort of homeschooling with your high schoolers, my high schoolers still do relaxed homeschooling. They still don't do the textbooks. They don't have that what looks like schoolish learning. They're still kind of learning almost along the same lines as what they had been learning all along. So now with my high schoolers, they will do everything in the morning basket that their younger siblings did. The only things that are different are that even though I give them 10 spelling words every week, so let me just spell what I'm looking at anyway, even though I give them 10 spelling words a week, for them it's not just 3 times each. Since they're in high school, I look at this vocabulary, not spelling. And so what I usually will have them do is Monday is going to be 3 times each. Tuesday they will have to write down the definition of each word. Wednesday they will write a sentence showing that they understand the meaning of the word. And then the 4th day, believe it or not, I'm going to have them put their words in alphabetical order. And you might be wondering, why do you have your high schoolers doing ABC order? That's juvenile. Well, it sounds juvenile, right? But I was thinking about this, and you know, when I was a kid, we always had all sorts of real life practice doing that. You know, we had to know it for looking things up in the dictionary, in the thesaurus, in the encyclopedia, in the phone book. And kids, they don't have that practice with that anymore. It's like they just type something into their phone and boom, it pops up. So they don't have that additional practice. So my kids are going to be getting it in their vocabulary. So yeah, they do their vocabulary 4 days a week in their morning basket. Their cursive book looks different than the younger siblings. Theirs includes passages from the Declaration of Independence, United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, something that is very important for people to know, especially right now. And so yeah, so this is what they're going to be using for their cursive. And, you know, and it has the basic letter formation for kids who need that practice. For kids who don't, though, they can just go right into the back and start writing the copy work that's in there. So this is what, oh, and look, and they even have the Bill of Rights listed right here. I really like this. So this is what's in the morning basket for them. And like I said, so yeah, so they do vocabulary, they do cursive, they do, they also do the math drills, the same purple math drill book that I had given to my younger kids. Even though it's multiplication and division, I still give it to them because I want to keep them like able to do their math quick. So they do that too. It just takes them a couple minutes. They also do the silent reading and the geography. So now, they also are on a 4-day routine, and then the 5th day they do something different. So for their 4-day routine, they also do Bible using the same book that I used before, the 1-Minute Bible with the other kids. For math, I mentioned before that they are still doing CTC math. I have one of them doing pre-algebra and one of them doing algebra. They are doing Spanish this year. Now, I had been having them use Duolingo for their Spanish. And then I was going to look for a Spanish workbook for them to start using too. I told them to keep like a running list of new Spanish words that they're learning in Duolingo. But today on Instagram, someone mentioned that her kids were using Duolingo, and there were some things that Duolingo was having them learn that they didn't think was appropriate. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, can't learning a language even be safe? I don't know. So anyway, I asked my 16-year-old who was using Duolingo already last year, and she said she never noticed anything. But now I'm like, oh, should I be looking for something? Anyway, though, yeah, they're using Duolingo for Spanish right now, and I would like to look for a workbook for them, but I do not have one yet. Okay, so now twice a week they are going to be working on history. This was something that I just kind of put together last minute because I was going to have them do kind of like Charlotte Mason style learning, living books, just reading literature, biographies to learn their history. But they weren't too enthusiastic about that, so we changed it up. So what they're going to be doing now is they're going to be going through the giant American history timeline, and they're actually going to be making a timeline notebook. They're going to be starting in the colonial period because we already did the prior history to that before, and we even did some of the colonial period and the American Revolution too. But they're going to start there. Now, as of right now, since we're doing this timeline, what they are is they almost look like notebooking pages to me, or you could think of them as worksheets. And they just have to find the information and fill it out, and they're going to be putting this in what I'm calling a timeline notebook, because if you notice at the top of each page it tells you what year it happened. So their timeline notebook is going to be in chronological order of the different events. Oops, I'm like dropping everything. Of the different events that happened. I needed a book though for them to get that information in. And since this was like a last minute decision for us, the only thing that I had on hand was, excuse me, Everything You Need to Ace American History in one big fat notebook. And I thought, well, okay, we can get started using this. It will give them the information that they need. But at the same time, I know that history books that are written in later years are often including revisionist history, and yeah, it's hard to know anymore what is true and what is not. And so I'm going to have to kind of read along with this as they're doing it, just to make sure there isn't anything that kind of makes me scratch my head and think, well, I didn't learn it like that. So anyway, I'm going to have to be keeping a close eye on this. And someone else mentioned that she saw that there were reviews on this saying that this was written with like a very progressive viewpoint. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this. I do have another book on hold at the library that was written in 1978 about American history. I think that might be safer. So I'm hoping, I haven't gotten it yet. They'll probably call me when it's in, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to use that instead. But if not, I at least have this for the time being. So that's what they're going to be doing for history. And again, that's twice a week. On the other 2 days out of the week, they're going to be doing their fun schooling journals on those 2 days out of the week. Now, the fun schooling journals that they have are like, they're do-it-yourself curriculums. They're like complete curriculums. These include all the subjects. It's pretty much like a unit study, but in notebook form. So, and as you can see, my daughter started this last year already. So one of my daughters is going to be doing do-it-yourself curriculum fun schooling with Minecraft. And again, this includes geography in here, there's science in here, language arts, there's math, there's STEM, because it tells them to go online and to build some of the things in their Minecraft world. So this is cross-curricular, this is covering that science, and my kids are outside all the time. So they are doing nature study constantly. So that is how they're fulfilling their science requirements. My other daughter, she is actually, we're hoping that she's going to continue working in her animals. She has a do-it-yourself curriculum for animal lovers. She has it upstairs somewhere. She said she can't find it. She was working in it upstairs and now she has no idea where it is. So I can't even show it to you. I'll leave a link in the description box for you if you want to look at that, what that is like. But again, that one is also cross-curricular. It's very science-oriented though. It's great for like zoology students, and that is, my daughter loves animals. She just, she has like 2 animal notebooks that she was using for her interest-led notebooks, and they're both like this thick. She just completely ran out of room for them. Anyway, if for some reason she can't find the Animal Lovers one, which I hope she does, but sometimes this house is like a black hole, we have this one, Do-It-Yourself High School Homeschool Handbook. And so we have this just in case. No one has ever used this one yet. This is a brand new one. So if she can't find the Animal Lovers one, she's still going to have a fun schooling journal to use. And this one, like all the rest of them, is cross-curricular. So all of her subject areas will be covered. That is what they're doing the 4 days out of the week. The 5th day out of the week, what I'm doing with them is, I told them both, as of right now, I want them to think about something that they really want to learn about. And I said they don't have to learn about it all year, even if it's just like for a few weeks for now. But I want them to do an interest-led notebook, like my older daughter did, who just graduated. She learned about so many different things with her interest-led notebooking. So I told them I want them to think about topics for them to do. And every Friday, or like every 5th day, they are going to be working in their interest-led notebooks, and they'll just be using a binder like this. And I already printed up some notebooking pages over from on productivehomeschooling.com, and that's what they're going to be doing the 5th day of the week, is just notebooking through whatever interest they might have at the time. So anyway, I think that I got everything done. I hope so. But yeah, that's what I'm planning on our homeschool year to look like. We'll see if it happens this way, because I know now this is our 12th year, and I know that a lot of times things change when you least expect them to. So this is what we're thinking our year is going to look like. Anyway, if you like this, I can't even talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram, because YouTube has once again disabled my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.